So South Park triggers Vulture, the online magazine. David, thanks for joining the channel, man. So what we got here, the Vulture internet website puts out this South Park recap and anxious reaction. Now, this episode was really funny. I thought it made really good points. Now, I'm someone that's been diagnosed with anxiety, and it's not the way you'd think. I was diagnosed with anxiety a long time ago, and I don't really have issues now. But here's the thing. I was having, like, anxiety where my hands would go numb. I didn't really feel like I was panicking, and it wasn't really mental. It was more like I was having physical reactions, and I got over it, got, you know, help for it and all that good stuff, and so I'm coming from this from a place of someone who's been diagnosed with it, and still it did not offend me, and I got the point that they were making, and I thought it was a great South Park episode. I'm impressed at how good South Park's been doing, because for a while there, they were kind of off the mark. But as anything does, the magazine Vulture, I keep calling it magazine, the internet, you know, news site Vulture, rated it a 1, and then says this week's episode of South Park begins with a misdiagnosis and builds outward from the false premise, progressing in the wrong direction like an ingrown hair. Basically, they got triggered and offended. So if you haven't watched the episode, it's about Cartman is mad because no one will let him just sit and play with his phone, and he goes to talk to a therapist or a counselor, and that counselor tells him he has anxiety. So Cartman gets a box that lets him play with his phone and not hear anyone around him, and all these people get it, and they all walk around and have these bad things happen because they've got their heads stuck in the box. While the PC babies, if you've been watching the show, they run around, and it mocks the PC culture. It mocks people that want to use, not people who are diagnosed with anxiety for the real disorder, but it kind of throws a mocking glance at people who are going around and doing things. It makes fun of anxiety that's being used in the way that South Park obviously feels it shouldn't be. But either the author here either has anxiety or was pissed about the PC part of it and decided that it should bitch about the mental health aspect and damage that this episode is doing. I've highlighted some of it. So it says here, when this opening scene describes anxiety as, quote, an excuse to be lazy and lame to everyone around you. So when Cartman gets diagnosed, he responds with, so I can use anxiety to be lazy and lame to everybody around me? And he's like, that's perfect. So he continues on to say, one gets the sense this may not be the empathetic, nuanced take that the charged topic of mental health deserves. So once again, this guy is saying, hey, South Park, you should react and do the things I want you to do. If I don't like what you've done, I'm going to turn it into something about mental health, when I don't think it was even about that, even though it could be inferred, I suppose. If anything, Cartman's behavioral traits, and he lists some, suggest a mood disorder, and he tries to diagnose Cartman himself, not anxiety. If Trey Parker and Matt Stone want to have a conversation about being neuroatypical, they ought to be held to a certain standard. You got to be kidding me. You're talking about the creators of South Park, okay? So, over on the CW, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend has spent the past 4 years painstakingly building the complicated patient thesis on self-care and instability that South Park tries to write off in 20 minutes flat. That's why no one watches that show. I don't even know what that show is. No one watches it, and that's why people watch South Park. We don't want to watch a show that tries to, quote-unquote, build a complicated patient thesis on self-care and instability. We don't want that, okay? If you want that, go watch it. Watch it over and over again. I'll stick with South Park any day. One of the big issues addressed in seasons 3 and 4 has been the patient's bad habit of using her condition to absolve. I don't care. So back down here, we've got which exactly is how Parker and Stone see it, the B-plot. And here we go with the PC babies. Raises a racket over improper viaduct financing and someone describing a Cosmo as a pussy drink, he writes. Reinforces the show's contempt for everything beyond its nihilistic bubble. Well, you may say the show's contempt for things like Cosmos and PC babies, PC people, but that's how the entire world feels, okay? Seriously now. Anyway, this easily identified flaw, let me go back up, in this argument is that not every anxious person wrestles with the same degree of debilitation. I think any smart person took that away from the South Park episode. In the end, these types of people, they constantly want to be PC. They want to write these types of articles and defend being PC, politically correct. They want to be like, hey, if you offend somebody, you need to go down. But see, here's the problem. People have tried to take down South Park, Matt Parker, and Trey Stone ever since they started because they are out to offend you. That's what South Park's for. And I think South Park being one of the top shows for as long as it has, not being censored and stricken down like people think it should be, like this guy, I think it shows a testament to what people want to watch, what people don't like to watch. And I hope South Park keeps going and stays on the course and gets back to their roots. I'm UNIRock. You can subscribe to my channel, and right next to the subscribe button is a join button, and it really helps out. There's a lot of perks you get for doing it. Check it out. Also, there's a dono link, Patreon link, and many free ways to help our show if you like it. It's actually, you can actually, we're Streamlabs all-star partners, so you can download Streamlabs, and it will help donate to our show, and you get a free program that every computer should have, and many other ways. Mostly, though, follow me on Twitter at UNIRocktv, and make sure you're subscribed to both of my YouTube channels and our clip channels and the channels on the sidebar. I'll see you soon. As I always say, be nice in the comments. Those are people on the other side, and you should always be kind. Just never be afraid to speak your mind.